あ、再開しましょう。6章に入ったんだよね、確かね。1、2、3、4、5、6。病院を出てったんだね。で、ホーキンス提供は7章なのじゃん。まあいいや、CP はまだ、ちょっと今動揺しています。あ、こういうのを見ていて、どんどん正気を失っていくのかな、もしかして。わかんないけど。はい、トミー、あとは、チャールズ・ホーキンスは変な、ね、タコみたいな感じになったですね。で、こいつがブラッドリーを殺したはずなんだけど、はい。で、これは助けてくれたお医者さんですね。はい、ごめんなさい。まあ、助けてくれた女の人だね。で、こいつが、まあ、唯一死亡した人かな。そうだよね。まあ、サラとかはもともと死んでるんだけど。はい、何かを知ってたんだね、この人はね。はい、場所はこれは病室ね。で、なんかカルト集団がいましたと。凍った石の上に寝かされている。死んでいるように思えるが体は腐敗しない。昏睡状態の一種だろうか。で、身体的特徴を変える治療が加えられていると。怖いね。はい、は、6章はまだなくて5章で、サンダースの治療記録があります。で、これ拾ったんだよ、そういえばね。はいはいはい。そこ治療の拘束のとこだね。はい。で、オイルの消費が激しいやつと、これ医学とかだね。D、心理学をはい、あげちゃいましょう。ちょっと待ってね。はい、すみません。はい。心理学も上げとかないと、ちょっとね、分析とかその辺で、どうなんだろうね。基本なんか調べる系が多いから、この3つなのかね、目星とか、調査して。心理学はちょっとわかんないけど、でも動機を理解とかだから、時々ある妄想とか、実はあの辺だったりするのかね。はい、まあいいや。ここは行かれない。はい、逃げようとして倒れたんだよね。
No. I want to know what Bradley and Dr. Colden have to say about all this.
You're awake, Mr. Pierce. How do you feel?
Did I sleep long?
The day is only starting. It's fine.
How's our fugitive? Dr. Fuller hasn't reported your disappearance to the force, but that'll come soon.
Bradley?
Who else would it be?
Mr. Pierce, are you all right? You look like you saw a ghost.
There are things I can't explain.
Tell us. What happened?
I have flashbacks. They haunt me.
What did they do to you?
There was that Dr. Fuller. And a nurse. Blood. Everywhere. My legs. The pain. I couldn't bear it. I was screaming. They injected me with something. I woke up at the Institute. Bradley was there.
And how you scared us. You seemed... demented.
You likely woke up during the anesthesia. No wonder those memories haunt you. What in God's name were they doing to you?
What happened afterwards?
When I woke up the second time, I was in a padded cell. That's where you found me, Doctor. After you released me, I got a good look at what's in store for the patients of the Riverside Institute. Hallucinogenic gas pumped into the cells. An infernal machine. Horrific medical experiments.
Impossible. Dr. Fuller would never do such a thing.
You should believe it, Ethan. What Mr. Pierce saw is precisely what I've been trying to prove. Did you discover anything else?
What I'm sure of now is that the Hawkins case isn't just an accident.
And what brings you to that conclusion?
The fact that Charles Hawkins survived the fire.
I don't understand. Mr. Hawkins was buried.
That's what he would have you believe.
I have a hard time believing you.
You were there, Bradley. You even opened fire on him.
I'd remember that.
Why would he fake his own death? Do you think he covered up his wife's murder?
That's possible.
It seems hard to swallow. Don't you have anything more concrete, Pierce?
I found a Darkwater PD badge. Lost a colleague recently?
What the...
Bradley.
Ethan?
I'm all right. I just had a... It's gone.
You're sure?
If it's important, it'll come back. But I can't explain why Dr. Fuller would have that badge.
The man's a danger, believe me.
What can we do, Pierce?
Bradley, what do you remember?
I don't understand your question.
The night we went into the Hawkins mansion. You don't seem to remember the tunnels and what occurred there.
No memory of going down any tunnel. No, we were in the manor, then,
Then what?
The rest is quite blurry. I don't recall how I came back home.
And then?
I went to visit you at the hospital, and called on Marie's help to get you released.
And you don't remember the events of the tunnel?
I don't. Let's talk about something else.
I heard you talking earlier.
Why am I not surprised?
I get the impression you two don't get along.
Intrusive and not very clever. Anyway, let's get back to the business at hand.
Given the energy he pours into Riverside, I presume it was Fuller's creation.
His father's, to be correct. He was a surgeon on board the Scylla. He founded the hospital in 1904 with funds from the Hawkins family before he died and his son Thomas Fuller took over.
Two families inextricably linked.
Most island families are that way. Captain Fitzroy's father was also a seaman aboard the Scylla.
Powerful families dominating everything.
Yes, and as you could tell, Dr. Fuller is like some crazed emperor.
He wouldn't be happy if he knew we were snooping around.
I know the risks. I don't fear him. Do you wish to know anything else?
そうか。能力上がってると、こういう風に、いくつか聞くことができたりする選択肢が増えるんだね。なるほど。
Dr. Fuller seems to be leaving a trail of corpses. Not to mention those strange machines, chains, and tools of all kind.
Yes. I've been telling you that Fuller uses his patients as guinea pigs.
What I saw was more akin to torture than medicine.
Do you even hear what you're saying? Dr. Fuller is highly respected.
It's the truth, Ethan. And I'll prove it to you. I'm listening, Mr. Pierce.
もうないかな。ないね。
I met
ヒント見つけたんだよ。
Francis Sanders. Do you know him?
Of course, he's a patient. Or was. I haven't seen him since Dr. Fuller had him transferred to the basement.
He knew Sarah Hawkins, and that's what killed him.
What? How did he die?
I'm not sure I can explain it.
Tell me how Mr. Sanders died.
I didn't see what, but something was there with us.
Of what do you speak?
Sanders said it was Sarah Hawkins' visitor. He spoke of it like a living being.
Sarah Hawkins? Have I missed something here? This makes no sense. I don't see how it can help crack the Hawkins case.
You really think she's involved? How could she have murdered Mr. Sanders?
Francis Sanders mentioned Mrs. Hawkins just before dying. It's no coincidence.
You know, Francis Sanders was a well-known art collector. I guess you can still pay a visit to his wife, Irene Sanders.
An art collector, you say? That's probably how they met.
If you plan on having dinner at the Sanders household, please spare the widow the tale of her late husband's suffering.
I don't agree. She deserves the truth.
But that truth may be biased. We don't know the bottom of it.
You're right. Without a plausible explanation for what I saw, let's not jump to conclusions.
That seems wise indeed.
Very well. I'll go to see Francis's widow. Perhaps I'll find a link between her husband's death and Sarah Hawkins.
Don't end up in the hospital this time.
I'll do my best.
運命を左右しますと出たね。はい、これが医者だね。あの写真にいた人だ。船長と、どれだっけ、ホーキンスと。はい。それがなんか余計なことしやがったぜってことだね。
The other night's events are still confused in my head.
覚えていないというだけか。さあ、ピアスコールデン・ブラッドリーの3人は組んで、サラの事件を解決することにしましたと。で、美術品の収集家であり、画家の友人であり、目の前に死んだフランシス・サンダース。で、なんだろう、空鬼なのかな、空気なのかな、空鬼かな、なんつった、英語でなんて言ってんだろうね。探偵が家に向かう。はい、行ってみましょう。
What can I do for you, sir?
Mrs. Sanders? I'm a private detective. We must talk about your husband and his ties to Sarah Hawkins. Can I come in?
You may. However, before we go any further, please know that my husband died yesterday.
That is precisely what brings me here.
Well, look who's here. You know each other?
We met briefly. Time enough to iron out a few matters. The main thing is that we understood one another. The brave detective has a talent for sticking his nose into my business.
I bump into her every time I'm investigating someone's death.
It's a small island, Detective. My island. It's better that it's you bumping into me.
You're investigating Francis' death. Why? Who hired you?
I spoke to Francis before he died. His story suggests a link to a case I'm working on.
Well, since this business has got nothing to do with me, I'll be in your husband's office, Irene. We'll carry on later.
Very well, Miss Baker. This way, Mr. Pierce. And do make yourself comfortable. It would seem that you have much to tell me. May I inquire as to when you had the opportunity to talk to my husband?
Yesterday. I met him at the hospital. He spoke to me about Sarah Hawkins.
Oh, of course he spoke to you about her. That's all he talked about. Sarah Hawkins and her paintings. Please forgive my tone. The fact is that I have not been allowed to see him since he was interned. You, on the other hand, a perfect stranger, were able to see him and even talk with him the day he died. How was he? Were you present when he had this attack? What happened?
What happened to your husband is terrible, Mrs. Sanders. But from what I saw, it was inevitable. The man I met yesterday had lost his reason. He suffers no longer, if you would allow me such a platitude.
Of course. Thank you for your kind words. Nobody in that hospital would have deigned to speak them to me. However, it will require more than that to soothe my mind. I need to understand. How could this happen? In a reputed institute? And right before your eyes? Did you not do anything to help him?
Quite どれにしよう。まあ、僕を送ったんじゃないようなんだけど、フラーが悪いって言っていいのかな。これで言ったらなんか、ね、起きたことを話さなきゃいけなくなっちゃいそうな気もするし、これ、僕関係ないです。僕のせいじゃないですよ。関係ないんですよ。って言ったら、それはそれでなんか、感じ悪いよね。どうしよう。どれがいいだろうね。話術テストがあるから、これでなんかうまくいったらなんかあんのかな。この、助けることできなかったんですか。これを言いたいよね。
So ask Fuller, he's the eminent doctor. But I would caution you, you'll find his treatments more terrifying than the illnesses he sets out to cure.
That churl no longer takes the trouble to receive me. He sends his secretary to tell me that I cannot see Francis. Me. His own widow. He must think that I am a terrible wife for having abandoned him in such a way. But I only wanted what was best for him.
I'm not here to condemn you, Mrs. Sanders.
Oh, I'm tired, Mr. Pierce. I would be grateful if you could tell me what you expect of me, and then leave.
どうでもいいんだけどさ、このワンピースの下の方がさ、プルプルプル震えるんだよね。気になってしゃあない。
How did you come to meet Sarah Hawkins?
We were the wealthiest and most influential families on Darkwater. Of course we would know each other. And when Charles returned from Europe with his sweet little artist, she and her sinister paintings were destined to catch my husband's eye. He bought many of her works over the last 5 years. They adorn his macabre gallery.
Did your husband talk to you about Sarah Hawkins' visitor? A shambler, to use his precise terms.
Well, you can't imagine that's all he talked about. It's exhibited at the center of the gallery. No better place for the painting that endowed him with the privilege of such a shameful and miserable end to his life.
Hold on. The Shambler is a painting by Sarah Hawkins.
Who else to paint such horrors? Take a look for yourself, if you feel so inclined.
It is my only lead at this stage. I suppose I have nothing to lose.
Then you have paid no heed. For my part, I refuse to set foot in that gallery again. But if you are so eager to see it, I would urge you to make the most of your visit. Because I count on ridding myself of that thing as soon as I can.
Thank you, Mrs. Sanders. I won't be long.
キャットがなんでって聞きたいんだけど。 もう話してくんないな。あいつくせ。
The day the Shambler came into the Sanders' lives.
Yeah.
A house of artists. A house of artists. Frances Sanders and Sarah Hawkins were close. Friends, even? Sanders' accession register. He wrote beside the Shambler. Finally.
Yeah.
What did Sarah Hawkins fear so much that she didn't want to sell the painting?
それらあまり絵を売れなかった。なんだろうね。あとは、緑の手がかりがあるわけではないんだね。こっちには行かれないし、なんかあるかな。下も落ちてないでしょ。
He finally won. Was Sanders aware of his imminent doom? Was she jealous of Sarah Hawkins?
どうだろうね。
She first refused to sell the painting. How did that make her feel?
この絵がなんかあんのかな、じゃあ。お前は別にいいな。カルト。
The Shambler. I need to see it.
見るのを拒否したってことかな。なんだろうね。これ奥さんだね。41歳。ゴールデン32歳。サラは33歳。やっぱキャットが一番可愛いね。はい。手がかりは、サラとの写真があって、サンダースと未亡人になった妻の情報を出していると、サンダースが捕まるきっかけとなった出来事を組み立てることができると。で、サンダースとサラが親しい関係にあったことが指し示されると。で、コレクターの彼が、画家の作品に興味を示していたことで繋がったんだけど、でそれよりも一定友好関係があったんでしょうと。で、サラのこの空鬼という絵の売却を何度も断ったっていうのが物語ってます。はい、彼女は最後には無償で譲ってんだ。でも奥さんがサラに見せていた感情っていうのは、彼女が画家の責任と考える顛末から生まれていたのが明らかだ。画家の責任なんだろう。で、サンダースが絵を手にして間もなく、狂気が襲ったんだよ、と。そういうことですね、奥さん。
Did she really care for him after all?
遺体をくださいと。でも遺体渡せませんと。そうか。連れて帰るときに、遺体はいりませんみたいな。だから、別に何もないね。こっちは何かあるかな。 書斎にキャットがいるんだよね。いや、まだ帰んないよ。ガチャガチャ。基本勝手に漁ってるよね。
Let's see what this cylinder has to say once it's inserted in a phonograph.
ああ。サンダースが残した。なんだこれ今血が見えなかった。一回だけ。今血が見えたよね。これ奥さんだよね。奥さん死んじゃうのかな。ここが絵があるとこですね。とりあえずちょっと。
I could use one of those.
みんな睡眠薬があるんだね。
A strange Amerindian pendant.
インディアンのペンダント、守りか。
Strange.
Right.
For months, Sarah Hawkins refused to part with her painting,
呪われ
to
た。
finally give it away for nothing.
呪われてるから欲しがるなと。はい。友情が意味あるもんだと思うんだったら諦めてくれと。破滅を招くわけにはいかないんで、これことは忘れてくださいと。これ売りたくなかったんだね、やっぱりね。結局開くの。開いた。画廊の鍵。これはただの皮目かな。びっくりした。お前いた？びっくりした。4ビッか。読んでみようじゃないか。怪物じみた正体不明の生物の百科事典的なもの。実在するような気がしてきた。これは読まない方が良かったかもしれませんね。確かに。あ、こっちが多分鍵がいるとこだね。ここはあれだ。ここなんかあるよ。
Another volume of the Reverend's wife's diary.
牧師夫人の日記。ウィッチウッドした集団にページを割いた。妻は上陸して以来、死の回収が見ている奇妙な夢について心配を吐露している。牧師の妻の日記ってなんだ？これはオブリビオンでいう、なんか物語とは関係のない、あれかな。久しぶり。
That's twice you've stepped on my toes, Detective. Try not to make a habit of it.
I've got a lot of bad habits.
Some can be more fatal than others. What have you come looking for in this gallery?
これ違うな。
I'm not here to cause trouble, if that's what's worrying you.
Worry me? Don't overestimate yourself. If the last beating wasn't enough for you, I can always give it another go. But as long as you keep out of my way, you're free to carry on with your visit.
何しに来たの？
And you? What brings you to the Sanders home?
I'm here on business. Irene asked me to liquidate all these paintings. She doesn't intend to hang around here for long.
Why you?
Believe it or not, there aren't many collectors on Darkwater. It needs someone with a network, and a means of transport to the mainland. A choice that comes down to Fitzroy and me. And I'm far more pleasant, wouldn't you say?
そうですね。C カップかな。さあ行ってみよう。 あ、待って。ちょうど30分が経ってるよね。一旦ここで終わりにして、次回続きにしたいと思いますんで。はい。じゃあ、また次回会いましょう。